WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name's John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems on this hot and sticky day. But I just got a notice from kind of where I live in Florida, and it says tornado warning. So take the hot and sticky and partly cloudy, I guess, is the way to go. When it comes to electric vehicles, we've certainly seen a lot. I mean, certainly Tesla stood the world on its end with their vehicles, coming from their very first little sports car that used a Lotus body to some of the other electric vehicles we've seen. Maybe don't rush out and buy a Fisker right now, but there are some fantastic electric vehicles. And we've started to see electric vehicles enter the luxury market. Not that spending $150,000 on a Lucid isn't a luxury car, but we're starting to see in that ultra-luxury category. And with us is Zack Doell from US News Report, who had the opportunity to spend some time in the Royce Spectre. Zack, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Car Doctor program.
Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I did get a chance to look at the Rolls-Royce the other day. I didn't get a chance to drive it. It looks, first off, it is super imposing when you look at it. It is one big two-door car, and it is the one that I saw was in. It was sort of funny. I guess it was sort of Dusty Rose, but the joke was, how much Mary Kay products did you need to sell to get one of those?
Yeah, it's a very imposing vehicle. I mean, it's a big car. It's got that Pantheon grille, that telltale Rolls-Royce sign. It's something to behold for sure, and it's the kind of thing you don't see very often, unless maybe you live in Miami. But certainly, most of us don't see one very often.
Yeah, the first one I saw, which I guess I didn't really see it. I saw it on YouTube with Jay Leno and the Rolls-Royce rep Jerry Spahn, and I guess it was a car that, like all Rolls-Royce vehicles, it was sort of ordered for Jay. It was somewhat made specifically to his order. Looking inside the one that I had the opportunity to spend a little time at, it is typical Rolls-Royce inside. The workmanship, looking at all the panels, looking at all the pieces, fantastic assembly. Is that what you saw in the one that you had the time to spend some time with?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect way of putting it. It's unbelievable inside. Everything is done to the nth degree. And, the metal is real metal. The wood is real wood. The carpets are like an inch thick. It's just so above and beyond what the standard, high-end luxury vehicle is. It's kind of crazy to think, an S-Class is very nice. This just takes it to an entire another level. Then again, it costs $420,000 to start, so it kind of better. But it's incredible.
I remember years ago, one of the Rolls-Royce convertibles had some sort of wood trim that maybe it covered up the area where the top folded down, and the story was that the wood was some sort of African hardwood or something that they originally floated down a river to get to it, but then they decided the water stained the wood, so they used elephants to carry the wood to wherever it had to be shipped to, which gives you an idea of what kind of craziness goes along with the assembly of a Rolls-Royce, right?
Right. That money is no object. It costs what it costs, but to get that highest level of quality, you do what you got to do. Maybe you float it down a river.
Yeah, exactly. Tell us about the performance of the car. I mean, we're used to Rolls-Royce being, anything from, the old stories of, well, you can't even open the hood because, the engine's sort of that was a story in the 50s, I guess. The engine was a sealed engine. Nobody could tinker with it other than the Rolls-Royce folks. The electric Rolls-Royce is a little bit different in the fact that it is, I guess, like all Rolls Royces, it is extremely quiet. But tell us about the performance.
Yeah, so it is absolutely extremely quiet. The interesting thing, though, and when they explained it to us, they explained it that it was designed first as a Rolls Royce and second as an EV. The driving experience is not all that dissimilar to the current Ghost. When you put your foot down in the Ghost, there's this like kick down from the transmission. It's like, do you really want that power? And then it kind of serves it up to you. It's very similar in the Spectre. It drives like an EV, but there's a tangible Rolls-Royce-ness to it, which I think is really neat. It's not going to alienate a buyer that has maybe coming out of another Rolls-Royce. But of course, it's got 580 something horsepower. It gets up and goes. It is silent. It just really scoots. And then it drives wonderfully too. It has adaptive air suspension and four wheel steering. So, it's a big vehicle, but it manages its weight quite well and just sort of eats up those rough patches in the road. It's, I wish it wasn't so expensive. Otherwise I'd put one in my garage, but it really is something else.
Well, if I put one in my garage, it would double the value of my house. So, you mentioned performance. It gets up and goes like all, most electric vehicles have a lot of performance, and that's pretty typical of Rolls-Royce vehicles. I remember I drove one, I think it was last year, and amazing how, the performance of such a big car. And I think the Spectre weighs something like 3 tons, right?
Yeah, this one was nearly 6,400 pounds. It's a big machine, a lot of weight, but the weight is down low. The battery pack is very low mounted, so it doesn't really feel all that heavy. But I'd say the sense of the bigness of the vehicle, you get it when you're kind of flying down the road. It feels substantial.
And this is a vehicle that it's meant to be kind of owner-driven, not chauffeur-driven, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly, so it's a 2-door, 4-seat vehicle. I'm 6'2". I could fit in the back seat. They're comfortable, but I wouldn't say they're generous. So this is a vehicle you definitely buy and drive yourself. The chauffeur is not necessary. So I'd say the kids would fit in the back just fine. But you're definitely going to want to drive this one up front.
So when you put this in your driveway, this is more the vehicle that you just go out and get ice cream with, and not bring the rest of the family. Then
your family has to be reasonably small. Maybe it's an empty nester type car.
Yeah, there you go. Did they talk about demographics of who besides Jay Leno buys a vehicle like this?
They did actually. So they're saying it's a younger buyer, maybe even a first-time buyer to the brand. EVs generally tend to be younger buyers, early adopters, but also they're seeing some people who've bought 1, 2, 3 Rolls-Royce before, and it's just kind of an interesting new time for the brand going into electrification. I think there's going to be a slower rollout of EVs in this segment than maybe they had claimed a couple of years ago. We've seen demand kind of dip a little bit, but nonetheless, it's really cool to see that technology come to fruition and it be just as compelling as the gas-powered vehicles.
Now, the range on this is somewhere around 300 miles, I think?
Yeah, so depending on the wheel, you can get standard 22-inch wheels, and that's a 291-mile range. If you go for the 23s, it drops it down quite a bit to around 260, 264. So not a ton of range. It does charge reasonably quickly. I headed in at a Electrify America station, and the claim is 34 minutes from 10 to 80%. I didn't quite see that, but it is reasonably fast. If you've had an EV, you're well aware of the ups and downs of charging. So, a great vehicle for the occasional long trip, but in and around town, doing business, I think no issues with the range anxiety.
And it uses kind of that Rolls-Royce classic, for want of a better word, suicide doors. Right.
Yes. They say coach doors. The rearward hinged.
Yeah. Using the word suicide in a sales plan isn't really a great idea, but yeah.
Right. So the coach doors, they open towards the back. They are gigantic and they weigh a lot. So there's a power open and close feature, which is really nice. And I understand this is the first Rolls-Royce where you can just press on the brake pedal and the driver's side door will close automatically. So it's a really luxurious feature. If you're paying it $400,000, you don't have to reach out and grab that door handle. Just press the brake; it'll close for you.
Now, does it have the built-in umbrella holder?
Absolutely, both sides. Yep. So you do get your umbrellas for that price.
There you go. Tell us a little bit about what you do at US World News Report.
Yeah, so I'm the vehicle testing editor. We drive a bunch of stuff, and we put up our reviews online. If you'd like to check out more of those, it's cars.usnews.com. And we drive pretty much everything from I just had a Nissan Versa a couple weeks ago, most affordable car in America. And last week I drove a Tesla Cybertruck. So it's a little bit of everything.
Well, tell us about, while we're talking EVs, tell us about the Cybertruck. I've seen everything from, someone who, buffed the stainless steel so it looked like chrome to someone who put a set of steer horns on the front of it. It looks like, and probably because vinyl wrap has become a little bit more available, that idea of one color in stainless seems to be, a lot of people are wrapping them and changing the color and personalizing them. What was the driving experience like?
It was, I got to say, it's probably my favorite Tesla from a driving experience. That long wheelbase and adaptive suspension, the ride's very nice. I'd say probably the smoothest of any Tesla I've driven. And it's quick. You expect high-powered EVs, especially Teslas, to be quick. It gets up and goes, no problem. The one kind of weird thing is the steering, because it's a steer-by-wire. It is very, very responsive, and I'd almost say twitchy at times. The steering wheel, it's a yoke, essentially. It does not move very much at all. So every tiny movement you put on it, the truck moves. I would say it's a little bit twitchy on the highway, but you get used to it. I certainly did, but it's going to be an adjustment if you're coming off pretty much any other car. But it's pretty incredible. I'm not in love with the styling. I think it looks a little odd from certain angles. I might not be alone in that.
Someone described it as it looked like a dumpster.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I've heard there's some issues with the raccoons trying to get into the bed because it resembles a dumpster. But as far as execution-wise, this one seemed very well put together. I had no issues with it at all, and it charged really fast.
And originally, in sort of base trim, that was supposed to be around a $40,000 truck. That never happened.
Yeah, I'm not totally up to date on their production plans or anything, but I believe we are going to see that price come down once these early option models kind of run their course. This one, I believe the sticker was around $100,000. It was like a founder's edition. So that's a lot of money for a pickup truck. And again, it's next to the Spectre. The Cybertruck is the vehicle that turned more heads. I had to practically run away from people trying to talk to me and say, "Oh my gosh, wow, nice car," and then I said, "It's not mine, but thank you."
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is interesting, and like you mentioned, the electric vehicle market has cooled just a bit. We've seen that in some surveys that we've done as well, that, people aren't jumping right to electric vehicles the way that, maybe a year ago, 25% of the public said, yeah, maybe my next vehicle will be electric. And now that number's dropped off a little bit. Do you think hybrids or especially plug-in hybrids, are probably the next kind of more popular choice?
I think hybrids are the best option for pretty much anyone out there. I mean, we're seeing them kind of infiltrate any segment, small cars, pickup trucks. There's a lot more options becoming hybridized. And, most people, if you told them, hey, this is a hybrid car, you might not realize it when you're driving. There's no downside other than you just save gas. EVs and plug-in hybrids, there's just more that goes into the driving experience. You have to think about the charging, or at least in a plug-in hybrid, you could drive it without charging, but you're going to miss out on a lot of those fuel economy gains. So I think hybrids are really the no-brainer for anyone who's just trying to, lower their expenses and just get a vehicle that's kind of more future-proof, maybe a bit better on gas, as gas prices kind of creep up here and there over the summer. But yeah, I think hybrids is definitely the way to go, at least now. The charging infrastructure has to improve, and I think it will over the next 10 years for sure. But everyone who kind of wanted an EV probably has one now, especially now that there's so many options, from the super high-end like Spectre down to vehicles like the Bolt, which is going to get another generation, and the Nissan Leaf, which are very affordable vehicles.
Yeah, no, somebody told me the other day, we were talking about electric vehicles, and we kind of both said a used Bolt right now could be a really good used car, because more than likely it has a brand new battery pack in it, or a battery pack that's almost brand new, and you could be buying a 2 or 3 year old one, and you could buy it for probably, in that sub $15,000 range and get a really good used car.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of off-lease vehicles, a lot of off-lease EVs make great first cars. I mean, you see a lot of depreciation and maybe not all that much mileage. It's a great option. And the residual values might not be there. But hey, if it works out for you on the buying side, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, and like you pointed out, the hybrids. I recently spent a week in the Toyota Sequoia. And
oh, nice.
It took a few minutes for me to realize it was a hybrid, and it had tons of power. It was quiet. It was like, oh, look at this. It came to a stop, and I didn't realize it was a true hybrid, not kind of a mild hybrid, and it really, performed like a gigantic Prius.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, incredible amount of power on those.
Yeah.
So any fuel savings with that hybrid system, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think for a big vehicle, it was something like 21 miles per gallon around town, which is outstanding for a vehicle that big. And if you're doing a lot of city driving, that's probably 5 or 6 miles per gallon more than you get in something like a Yukon. So yeah,
absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense. Hey, so again, if people want to read more about your stuff and all about the automotive content from US News and World Report, they go to, again, where?
That's cars.usnews.com. We've got lots of reviews, and we cover everything.
Well, Zach, thanks for taking a little time out of your day. And I was hanging out with George Kennedy the other day, and he said to say hello.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, then, there's, only certain people are going to go out and buy a, $500,000 Rolls Royce. But they are phenomenal vehicles, without a doubt. Why don't we take a break, pay some bills? My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. A little bit later, I think maybe in the next 5 or 10 minutes, we're going to be talking to Ted Ryan. You know him. He's the automotive historian from Ford Motor Company. And it's kind of an anniversary for one of the Ford Motor Company plants. And we'll talk about that when we get back. You're listening to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Start your Sunday off right with brunch at the Old Hitching Post in Hanson. The Old Hitching Post offers a full buffet brunch every Sunday from 10 to 1. Fill up on all your favorites like eggs and bacon, sausage, home fries, French toast casserole, mac and cheese, homemade hash, fresh seafood, rice, veggies, fresh fruit, quiche, yogurt parfaits, pastries, ham, omelets, eggs Benedict, and more. The Old Hitching Post Sunday brunch from 10 to 1 at 48 Spring Street, Route 58 in Hanson. Online at oldhp.com. That's OLDEHP.com.
AAA is with you at every moment in your life. They have 24/7 roadside assistance, which covers you in any car you're driving or riding in, even a rental or your friend's wheels. They have great member rates on home and auto insurance, savings on travel, hotels, and rental cars, and discounts on hundreds of your favorite brands. You're covered on and off the road. Learn more at aaa.com/join.
This is Dan Cloutier.
And this is Kim Jennings.
We're from Birch Bear Records. Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio.
Hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James.
On 95.9 WATD and 95.9WATD.com.
Search for Twilight Showcase on Facebook and visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD. Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. Let's talk about the Mazda. The Mazda's all-wheel drive Mazda 3 it's a compact car, but it's a sporty compact car. It blends in performance and practical features. I think if you're somebody who's looking for a stylish and engaging driving experience in a small car, Mazda 3 might be something you're looking for. Our latest model was all-wheel drive, and it continues to impress me in how well this car handles the interior. Now, again, it was sort of the top-of-the-line model, but nice-looking interior, advanced technology. So what's it got? It's available in two primary engine choices: 2.5-liter four-cylinder that produces 186 horsepower, or a 2.5-cylinder turbocharged engine that produces 250 horsepower. That's the one that was in our tester. If you're looking for a manual transmission, keep looking. Both engines are paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. The shifts are smooth and crisp, and yeah, you can shift them yourself if you want. I never really got that, by the way. The all-wheel drive system enhances traction and stability, particularly in adverse weather conditions or on slippery roads, while keeping and maybe even improving the zoom dynamics, if you will, because, Mazda is a zoom company. The all-wheel drive edition makes for year-round, all-weather car that's fun to drive. So, if you live here in New England and it does snow and it does get wet, and all-wheel drive certainly can help. The vehicle's handling is sharp and responsive, much better than most cars that are sort of in that compact car class. The interior of the Mazda 3 has a decidedly upscale look with high-quality materials and soft-touch surfaces. The cabin design is a step above what's typically found in most compact cars. It just feels a little bit more refined. The front seats are well bolstered. They provide excellent comfort and support. It makes long drives more pleasant. The rear seats offer a decent space for a compact car, although legroom can be tight for taller passengers. Is it probably the same amount of rear seat room as that Royce Spectre? Maybe it's a little less. If I was sitting in the front seat, I wouldn't be comfortable sitting in the back seat. So there you go. And I usually try to do that. I usually try to set on almost all cars. I usually try to set the front seat where I would normally sit, and then I get in the back seat. Either if it's two-door, climb in the back. If it's a four-door, just sit in the back. See how easy it is to get in and out. Try it out. See what it's like. Cargo space is actually pretty good. This was a hatchback, so while I had it, I picked up a good-size end table from the local Habitat store. Seats folded down, fit easily in the back. Comes equipped with Mazda's intuitive infotainment system, which includes a 7-inch touchscreen, which is upgradable to 8.8 inches, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. The interface is user-friendly. The rotary dial controller is on the center console. Allows pretty easy navigation through the menus. The system is responsive, but like all touchscreen systems, can be a bit distracting. Maybe I'll get over that at some point with all this distraction, but I still do like being able to just feel around for stuff and make it work. Like all cars today, I remember writing car reviews years ago and talking about, the addition of 2 or 3 more airbags. And today it's sort of like everything has the latest, greatest safety features, and this has it too: standard driver assistance, adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. Higher trims, such as those in our tester, had lane keeping assist and 360-degree camera. Technology and engaging driving experience, it's all there. So is this a perfect compact car? No, the rear seat can be a bit tight. Fuel economy with the turbo could be better. The infotainment system could be a bit of a distraction. But overall, the Mazda 3 all-wheel drive is a particularly good choice in the compact car segment, offering a good blend of performance and style and all-weather driving ability, which I think really adds to it. So if you're looking for a car that's not real expensive and you're looking for a sort of fun driving experience with all-weather capability, the Mazda 3 is definitely worth considering. So there you go. There's our review of the Mazda 3. Not really a review of sorts. I mean, only because we're talking about electric vehicles. I did something the other day that I always wanted to do. I live in a small house with a small yard. At this small house and small yard, I have an electric lawnmower. I decided to upgrade to a battery lawnmower. And I wasn't sure. And I went with the Works brand because I already have, their weed whacker and leaf blower and one of their lights and some other stuff. So I have their batteries and battery chargers. So I went with the electric battery lawnmower. So far, I'm really impressed with it. It's 21 inches. It's self-propelled if you want to. I mowed my lawn and my neighbor's lawn when I first got it because I was curious how the battery would do. Battery didn't even lose a bar of battery power. It uses 2 20-volt batteries, so it's a 40-volt lawnmower. Pretty neat so far. I'm pretty impressed with how well it worked. And I got to tell you, I was, I thought of the Works brand as one of those, TV infomercial brands that just seemed okay. The more I use their products, the more I'm impressed by them. I had one of their handheld steamers for cleaning, and the idea of being able to steam clean something small, kind of handy to have. So again, swapping the batteries around, having batteries fully charged. Now the lawnmower takes a little bit bigger battery, but could you put 2 smaller? They're still 20 volts, so you could put 2 smaller batteries in if you needed to. And I could take the one out of my vacuum cleaner and air compressor or something and be able to use it. So pretty neat. So some of the other things we got some interesting emails this week, including some that just came in today, which always makes it sort of interesting. The ones we see, and some of the ones we saw. We have somebody who has a 1980s Jeep, and they wanted to rebuild it, and they started to disassemble it in 2005. Since about 2009. The engine and transmission have been sitting under a 2-story porch. I guess it's been getting wet. The person who wrote to me says, I've tried to explain to him because it's been sitting outside for so long, it's going to need a lot of work. I believe the interior components of the engine and transmission have begun to rust. He seems to think that once he puts it all back together again with just a little tune-up, it'll be good to go. I believe the entire Jeep and all its parts should go to a junkyard. I'm hoping you can give your honest thoughts and opinions about this situation. I guess it really depends on whose house it's at. If it's at the owner of the Jeep's house, the brother of the Jeep's house, or the parents of the Jeep's house. So it depends if they're tired of seeing it since when did he say 2005? So it's been sitting here for almost 20 years. Here's my thoughts. If you put this thing back together, it may start and run, but there's going to be problems. Piston rings are going to be stuck. They may never come around. There'll always be, cylinder bores are tapered, so they're going to be stuck in the lands of the pistons. They may work, they may not. Chances are front and rear seals are all dried out. Cylinder head gaskets, if there was coolant in there, that coolant is probably acidic and is probably eating its way through the head gaskets. As a minimum, I'd want to do a simple rebuild to try to get everything back together again, but who knows? Clean up the rust on the cylinders. You don't know what the transmission's like. And the other part is you don't know what it was like before it was parked. If it's a labor of love, maybe go ahead and do it. But if it's just, I'm going to get around to it, maybe not. Well, I thought we were going to have Ted Ryan call in from Ford. Jesse, we haven't heard from Ted yet, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. But let's talk to Rusty and Woburn. Rusty.
Sorry to. Hey, John Paul. Good morning, and thank you. I'm sorry to bother you again with this crazy Toyota Corolla story, but I got a great story for you, my friend.
All right, go ahead.
If you want to hear it.
I want to hear it.
I was out all night. Okay. Get to the dealership yesterday for a 7 a.m. appointment because I get the oil change built in when I bought the car.
Yep.
They pull the car into the lot. They start doing the oil change. All of a sudden, they're like, "Okay, I need an air filter." So I have a K&N air filter. They sent me a complimentary one because I'm a big customer. They sent me one. That's fine. All of a sudden, I bought this car in October. They told me the tires and brakes were installed brand new. Guess what they told me? Oh, well, your tires are balding, the front brakes are shot, and you need a serpentine valve. I'm like, wait a second here. A serpentine valve? That's never happened in my million years of owning a car. And in Acton Toyota, they take all the video shots of everything. And here I am. I'm like, I'm not waiting 4.5 hours and spending $1,900. So I called my guy up. He's like, bring it in for Wednesday, Thursday. We'll take care of this mess. I go, I know that, but I'm kind of ticked off because here they are telling me they spent $1,900 beforehand installing tires and brakes in my car, and now it's like getting a hose here, buddy.
Hmm.
And the paint, they still haven't made a determination on the paint yet. I'm still waiting on that.
So did you get it back to your regular guy to see what he thought of the tires and brakes?
I'm bringing it to him on Wednesday. Because, like I said, it's like your car dying in the weekend, technically.
Yeah.
And then he was all tied up yesterday. So I called him. He's like, bring it down Wednesday, Thursday. I'll take a look at the whole thing and everything.
Yeah.
Because they have a video camera and they show you everything. And I'm like, I've owned cars a million times. I've never seen that happen. And all of a sudden they give you this thing. Oh, it'll cost you $2,000 to get it done for you today. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, I kind of. Who knows, I guess. But I think the idea of getting a second...
47,000 miles on the car. I bought it with 32,000. It's only, and there's like 46,000 on there now. I've never heard of this before. It just sounds like
and putting that kind of mileage, if it did have new tires and new brakes, you should have 40,000 miles left on both of those.
Absolutely. That's what I can't figure out because I'm looking at it right now. I have my purchase and sale. They said they put new brakes and new tires on and everything's shot. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Not in that, what was it, like 12,000 miles, 10,000 miles?
Yeah, 12,000 miles. That's it.
Yeah. No. If, and I kind of wonder, is it somebody just being a little too aggressive with, what it really needs? And like you said, it needs a serpentine belt. Serpentine belts typically last 10 years or 100,000 miles.
Right. That's what we can't figure out because they're telling me that it's showing signs of wear already. I'm like,
well, everything shows signs of wear.
Right. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, and that might be the key to the explanation here. It's like, well, your serpentine belt's starting to show some signs of wear. Yeah, because it's not brand new. But is it is it worn out? No, it's just starting to show signs of wear. Same thing. Right. It could be just the same thing with the tires. The tires are showing, I guess they said the tires are bald. But, same thing. For someone to say, well, it's starting to show signs of wear, all that really means is it's wearing. That's what belts do.
Right.
That's what tires do.
But they gave me this nice printable all estimated bill, and it's like customer pays $9.79, customer pays $2.35, customer pays $11.35, and I'm like, oh. it's just frustrating. So I figured I'd call you first thing, and I hate bothering you, but the only thing I ended up doing.
That's why I'm here.
Right, so I ended up spending $60 for. I got a rebate because I'm a K&N preferred customer, so I had ordered an air filter. They sent me the refund. Like, here you go, buddy. Thanks for being a loyal customer. So they bought me an air filter for my Corolla. It works fine. I put that in there yesterday. You can notice the difference, but it's just frustrating because it's like I never was seeing a serpentine, but it was at 100,000. It's like at 40,000, it's already going. I don't get it.
No, and I have a feeling it may have been, and who knows? I don't know that dealership, and
right.
is it not the dealership? Is it technicians? Are they getting paid on commission? Are they
correct? Right.
Do they have your best? Times. Do they have your best interest in mind? You never know. So,
right.
Yeah, so I think you're doing you're doing exactly the right thing. Nothing they said should keep you from driving the car.
Right.
Get it to your guy on Wednesday and have them take a look at it and see what they think, and then just kind of go from there. I suspect you're going to get there, and your guy is going to go, yeah, the tires show they have some wear, and the brakes show they have some wear, and the serpentine belt shows it has some wear, and come back in 3 years and we'll fix it.
Right. But it's just I called him up. I said, can you just take a look at I'm going to say this. Probably the brakes might have to be, but I'm just kind of pissed off because I'm buying a car, and that was one of the incentives for me to get this car, saying they put tires and brakes on it.
Yeah,
so
and if they did put tires and brakes on it 10,000 miles ago, and they're worn out, they didn't put brakes on it 10,000 miles ago.
I know that. That's what I mean. It's just, but that was the one incentive why I bought the car to begin with.
Yeah. No. They.
Do I have any recourse on that?
No, unfortunately, I mean, you could file a complaint with the.
No, I wouldn't do that. But can I just call him? Because the salesman I bought the car, I bought 7 cars off the same guy. Can I just give him a call? And say, hey, John, listen, this is what.
Yeah, I mean, I would, since you have sort of a relationship with the guy, I would definitely say, hey, look, the last car I bought from you. You guys said you put tires and brakes in it. I've driven it 10,000 miles, and now your service department's telling me I need tires and brakes. So either your service department's lying, or your sales department was lying when you sold me the car, because there's no way I could have gone through tires and brakes in 10,000 miles.
Right. That's why I wanted to bring it to your attention, because I want to make sure everything's all set. Because I was just so confused, and I was pretty upset. I go, hey, I even saw it. I'm like, what? You guys told me you did all this work, but unless they put a 10,000-mile tire on the car,
there's no such thing. There's no such.
I know that. You know what I mean. I'm just saying, unless they manage to do that.
I just bought the absolute cheapest tires in the world for a Volkswagen we have that doesn't go anywhere, and they're going to go. I'm sure they'll go 40,000 miles. So no, I don't think so.
Right, but I'm just saying, because like I'm sitting in dealerships, like I'm a captive member. What, you put 10,000-mile tires on there?
No,
it's just aggravating.
No, I'm right there with you. I would get the second opinion from your guy on Wednesday, and then call your sales guy up on Wednesday afternoon or Thursday, or stop by and even see him and say, hey, look, I was in for service. This happened. I had it verified by my mechanic who's a third-party guy. He has nothing to gain or lose, and he told me this and this. We got a problem.
Yeah. Because it just kind of, that's what really, like I said, it's granted the car was on the lot when I needed a car to buy.
Yep.
And it's just, that's the one incentive. Oh, geez, you're putting tires and brakes and you're doing me a favor. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's done after that. It's just because I'm looking at the bill right now, and it would have cost me close to $1,900 yesterday.
Well, give us a call next week and let us know how you made out.
Okay, like I said, I'm sorry to keep buying. Just so you get a kick out of hearing it, my friend.
It's not a bother, right? You're there and I'm here, and we talk.
And just as a caveat, I'm still waiting to hear on the paint issue. They haven't gotten back to the paint thing yet, so we're still waiting on that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, take care, Rusty. Okay, you as well. Bye-bye. Our phone number is 781-837-4900. I don't know whatever happened to Ted Ryan. So he was supposed to be today. So I don't know. Why don't we take another break while we have a chance? And why don't we do that? And we'll pay some bills. And when we come back, maybe we'll talk to you about your car problem. 781-837-4900. We'll be right back.
The James Library and Center for the Arts 150th Anniversary Celebration continues this summer with a special exhibition by the award-winning group Girls Just Want to Paint. It all begins on Friday, June 21st with the opening night reception and party for Girls Just Want to Paint the James. The event is free and open to the public, giving you the opportunity to view the work of 9 established and accomplished local artists. Artwork from Girls Just Want to Paint will be for sale, and a select few will be up for grabs through a silent auction, which will run through August 9th. It's Girls Just Want to Paint the James, kicking off with opening night on Friday, June 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the James Library and Center for the Arts in Norwell. For more information, visit jameslibrary.org. Keep your car in tip-top shape at Joseph's Garage. Have your oil changed, tires checked, get an inspection sticker, or just gas at Joseph's Garage, right down the street from the James in Norwell. Joseph's Garage now offers Gulf Bay at their pumps.
Start your Sunday off right with brunch at the Old Hitching Post in Hanson. The Old Hitching Post offers a full buffet brunch every Sunday from 10 to 1. Fill up on all your favorites like eggs and bacon, sausage, home fries, French toast casserole, mac and cheese, homemade hash, fresh seafood, rice, veggies, fresh fruit, quiche, yogurt parfaits, pastries, ham, omelets, eggs Benedict, and more. The Old Hitching Post Sunday brunch from 10 to 1 at 48 Spring Street, Route 58 in Hanson. Online at oldhp.com. That's OLDEHP.com.
AAA is with you at every moment in your life. They have 24-hour 7 roadside assistance, which covers you in any car you're driving or riding in, even a rental or your friend's wheels. They have great member rates on home and auto insurance, savings on travel, hotels, and rental cars, and discounts on hundreds of your favorite brands. You're covered on and off the road. Learn more at aaa.com/join.
Hey there, folks. It's Quinn Kelly reminding you to tune in Sunday night at 5 for the South Shore's first voice in sports talk radio, The Sports Exchange. Unmatched coverage of local high school action as well as a relatable voice on all things Boston Pro Sports. We've got you covered live at 5 every Sunday night. Have a question for our host, missed last week's show, or just want to share a great sports story? You can find us on Twitter at SE on WATD. But remember, mark your calendar, folks, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 for The Sports Exchange on 95.9 WATD.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. Now, I take the program and put it on a podcast site. And, I'm not as famous as Hometown Ghost Stories, but apparently, according to a website called FeedSpot, who lists the top 70 automotive podcasts you should listen to, the Car Doctor Radio podcast is now listed as number 2.
Ooh, very good.
So, again, I'm not up there with Hometown Ghost Stories, but I'm trying here. So, try to do the best we can. Hey, with us on the phone is Ted Ryan. He is the historian for Ford Motor Company, and Ted, there's an anniversary of sorts going on, 100-year anniversary of the one of Ford's plants in Chicago, right?
It is the great Chicago Assembly Plant, where I'm actually standing in the parking lot right now as we have a Friends and Family Day. And sorry to be late, John, but I got held up on another one. So Chicago, interestingly, is the the longest continuously operating vehicle assembly plant in the Ford system. It's even older than the Rouge. Well, the Rouge is older. The Rouge built boats and tractors for the first decade and didn't start building cars until 1927. So I'm standing at the oldest plant or the longest continuously operating plant in the Ford system.
And what do they build at the Chicago plant?
Right now they're building the all-new Aviator and the all-new Explorer and the Police Interceptor. So every Police Interceptor SUV that Ford builds, and we're the number one manufacturer in the U.S., is built here in Chicago. The Police Interceptors are then sent to an upfitter who customizes them for each specific police jurisdiction, the specifications. So I just saw the all-new Aviator and the all-new Explorer. We revealed them on Friday. They're amazing. And in fact, my Explorer is going to be built in 2 weeks in this very plant.
Well, there you go. And what are some of the unique vehicles that have been built there in the last 100 years?
It's a who's who list of vehicles. So remember the Granada? It was built here. The Torino was built here. The big one, though, was the Taurus. This is the only plant that built every generation of the Taurus, and they built between the Taurus and the Sable together more than 5.2 million of the Tauruses. And I always feel bad for the Taurus. It gets discredited these days, but it was an amazing car when it came out, and it was the first of that jelly bean design that was the beautiful curves that other auto manufacturers began to copy.
And the SHO version of the Taurus still is quite collectible today.
Oh, it is. It's a rocking car, too. So the other thing that they built here was this was part of the arsenal of democracy. And if any of your listeners are Army people, they built the M8 and the M20 here. They built them in the tens of thousands. So they shut down civilian production in 1942 and converted it over to build light amphibious vehicles and tanks.
Wow. And when it comes to, when you look at history like this and you look at, a plant, Ford's been around for, 125 years now, or however long Ford's been around. And you look at a plant that is continually operating for 100 years, or a plant like the Rouge that is, you look at it and it's, it's a modern plant, but, Ford's done a really good job of keeping everything all up to date in these plants that have been running continually, right?
They have, and in this particular case, the Chicago plant is really interesting, not to bore people with geography, but it's a confluence of a river and a rail line. So it's the perfect place to receive supplies. So it's been one that's been continuously updated. In fact, the last big update was done in 2019 when we invested $1 billion to redo the plant and to expand the Explorer production. So it takes that kind of effort to keep a plant up to date. And the other thing that the labor pool in the Chicago area is so strong, and I'm here today with 9,000 employees and their friends and family. It's the labor pool and the workers here at this plant have been part of what set it apart in the Ford system. 100 years is hard to do. There's no other plant in the Ford system yet that has been operating continuously for 100 years. So hats off. It's a huge achievement.
So 9,000 of your closest friends, I hope you're not the one cooking the hot dogs.
I'm not. They got food trucks, fortunately. No, I'm standing in the shade trying to do a bunch of radio interviews while I'm watching the kids to jump on a Whopper hopper and knock people into a dunk tank. But
there you go.
It's a celebration. It's a celebration, and we're celebrating 100 years in Chicago and the amazing array of vehicles. By the way, John, 15,800,000 vehicles built during that 100 years. That's actually a hefty percentage of vehicles. So, it all goes back to the workers who do it.
And if people want to find out more information about the plant or more information about some of the history of Ford, they can go to the Heritage Vault, which we routinely try to crash as often as we can. So.
They do. FordHeritageVault.com, and John, we're averaging 1.4 million searches per month, and we're approaching 15 million downloads on the site. It's just amazing how popular that is. But if you put in Chicago Assembly Plant, you can see some great photos of the plant on that site.
I was there just today to try to get a little bit of history. Ted, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday morning. Have a great time at the plant, and say hello to your 9,000 friends for me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, John.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye now. Our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. I think we still have Tom on hold, don't we? Tom, are you still there?
Yes. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
I'm a regular caller because my daughter bought an old Audi. And your last caller there, I envy him. She got an estimate for $9,000 for a 15-year-old Audi. And it wasn't really major work. It was like shocks and different things, but $9,000.
Well, and that's what, some people ask me, they'll say, hey, I found this really good, 10-year-old Audi, or I found this really good, 7-year-old BMW, or I found this really good, 8-year-old Mercedes. What do you think? And I'm like, as long as you got deep pockets, they're fine. But those cars get expensive to fix. And even when you go to, an independent repair shop that, might be a little bit cheaper than the dealer, the parts are still costly.
Yeah, you'd think they'd use some common sense. She brought it in for a recall or something. They gave her a laundry list, $9,000, brakes and shocks and just, ancillary things.
Yeah, and the idea, shocks are one of those things that you look at and you're like, how bad are they? And certainly if you're an aggressive driver, if you're a performance style driver, you want good solid shocks on the car. But if you're somebody who's just kind of driving the car back and forth, and as long as they're not loose or broken or completely out of oil, they're going to do okay. And even to the point where when shocks and struts are replaced under warranty, they tell you to look for a little bit of seepage is normal. So a lot of times what happens is, you go someplace and they'll say, "Oh, we got a little bit of oil around the seal on the struts or the shocks, so they need to be replaced." A little bit is normal. A lot is bad. If they're all covered with oil, that's bad. But if a little bit of it's normal. So sometimes it's a matter of being a little too aggressive. And to come back to somebody to say this is going to be this expensive is crazy. I mean, this is kind of a dumb example, but I'll give it to you anyway. I wanted to get 10 different eight windows replaced in my house, and I called the replacement window company, and the guy comes down, and come to find out I knew him. He was, I didn't really know him, but he had an old truck, and I was walking by his house one day, and it wasn't running good, and I went over and gave him some suggestions, and I saw him at a car show, and so we kind of recognized each other when he showed up, and he gave me a price of $24,000 to replace 8 windows, and I laughed at him, and he said, well, I figured you wouldn't want to do it because, with all due respect, your house isn't worth putting $28,000 worth of windows in, or $24,000 or whatever it was. And I'm like, you're right. And it's the same thing sometimes when you give somebody an estimate with a car repair, and you say to them, hey, look, your car's worth $6,000, but it needs $9,000 worth of repairs. Well, you go, well, let's see what it really needs. Let's see what it needs to keep it safe. And chances are,
they almost plan recalls. I mean, to get them in there,
Well, they certainly sort of take advantage of it. I was supposed to, and I don't think I'm going to do it, I was supposed to bring my car in for a recall on Wednesday, and my car now is 6 years old, but it doesn't have a lot of miles on it. And I was already prepared to hear some story about something, and I'm probably not going to make the recall. But it's one of those things that, I know what the car needs and I know what it doesn't need, and the mileage that's on it is going to need brakes. Yeah, I have brakes sitting in a box. I just wait for the weather to cool off to change them. But I expected to hear something, so it's not a surprise, and that always worries me a little bit. It's one thing to recommend legitimate work and to recommend it like when Rusty called in and they said, well, the serpentine belt shows some signs of wear. Well, once it's not new anymore, it shows signs of wear.
Yeah, and that was one of the items. They wanted like $500 to replace the belt.
Yeah. No, it's that's where you just say thank you for the recall. I'm glad that's done, and I'll take the other stuff under consideration. So.
Yeah, Audi is beautiful. Color brochure. It's like 12 pages long. A video of the guy under the car.
And the last time I was at an Audi dealer, they had good snacks in the waiting room.
Oh yeah. They had the best. Coffee, John, speaking of the Audi, we have a parasitic drain on it. I'm wondering. I don't see any plunger switches for any of the doors. Do they use like a magnet or something?
No, they're all built into the door handles.
Oh,
so they're built into the door. So they're built into the door lock. So that's what makes them a little tricky about trying to find them. What you have to do is, because you have the door open, if you're trying to look for stuff, you actually trip the latch mechanism in the door, and then the computer thinks the door is closed. So it can be one of those, it can be one of those door latches that could be an issue, especially if you kind of go out at night and look at the car and you see a dome light on. You go, okay. There's something that doesn't think. And the dome light. The problem is the dome light only stays on for so long. So, parasitic drain in cars can be a problem. How often do you have to jumpstart it?
It'll last maybe 3 days, and then it's stone dead. It's complete. It almost seems like a relay. I don't know. Something's going on.
Yeah, it could be even something like a coolant fan's coming on or staying on, or an emissions pump. The pump for the evaporative emission system may be staying on. Rear window defrost is kicking on, although that would kill it usually quicker than that. But something like you're right, something like a trunk light or a dome light, something that's not shutting off could be the problem. But yeah, there's no plunger switches. They're all built into the doors.
Yeah, talk about over-engineering.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. I mean, well, it's kind of funny. I don't know if it is on an Audi, but it is on a Volkswagen. When you grab the driver's side door handle, it actually runs the fuel pump. So it's all quick. Hey, we got to get going.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see if we can get to Al in Scituate really quick. Al, what do you got?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I bought last year an 04 Thunderbird.
All right.
And I love the car. It's really nice. And it runs great, except when it gets hot out and the temperature goes up. The check engine and the little wrench comes on, which indicates throttle body. So I went out and bought a new throttle body at the cost of almost $1,000. I don't know why it cost so much, but that's what they... And we put it in, and I'm still having the same problem with the new throttle body. The throttle body I bought, I went to the Ford dealership in Hanover, Janelle, and gave him vehicle VIN number and everything, and he ordered the throttle body with me, with the sensor, comes with it, and my son, he's kind of mechanical, he put it in, and I'm still having the same problem, so... Now
you just need to, unfortunately, you need to follow the trouble chart all the way through. Look for some sort of wiring ground problem. Could be those T-Birds have a lot of issues with battery grounds, and I would look for that. Hey, Al, we got to get going, but maybe call back next week. We'll talk about it some more. Until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.